Today we're going to be talking about a concept from the United States Army called Mission Command. For most of the video, I'm going to be reading directly out of Army Doctrine Publication 6-0, which was released in July 2019. For those of you that are new to military doctrine, the concept of Mission Command might surprise you. Movies, TV, and even some books paint the military as a rigid top-down organization where soldiers blindly follow orders. In these fictional stories, the genius hero commanders issue good orders and win, and stupid commanders issue bad orders and lose. But this isn't how the Army actually runs. The Army's aim is to empower its subordinate leaders to understand the big picture, what we call the commander's intent, and then to use their own initiative to act quickly and exploit opportunities without always asking for or receiving orders. Having served as an Army infantry officer for close to a decade, I've seen good military leaders who follow the principles in this presentation, and I've seen very poor leaders who violate virtually everything the Army teaches about how to lead effectively. So let's get started. Mission Command is the Army's approach to command and control that empowers subordinate decision-making and decentralized execution appropriate to the situation. In other words, Mission Command is a leadership philosophy where commanders do everything they can to empower their subordinates to make decisions and execute on their own without having to ask for or wait for orders. Mission Command is based on the Army's view that war is inherently chaotic and uncertain. No plan can account for every possibility, and most plans have to change rapidly to account for changes in the situation. Subordinate leaders often have a better understanding of what's happening during a battle, and they're more likely to respond effectively to threats and fleeting opportunities. But they can only respond if they're allowed to make decisions and act in order to achieve the commander's intent. There is always uncertainty in any operation, so the Army uses Mission Command because it doesn't attempt to impose perfect order. Instead, it accepts uncertainty and makes allowances for unpredictability. Successful Mission Command is enabled by 7 principles: competence, mutual trust, shared understanding, commander's intent, mission orders, disciplined initiative, and risk acceptance. We'll go through each of these briefly so you can start using Mission Command yourself. Competence is the first principle because without it, everything else is kind of irrelevant. Because Mission Command decentralizes decision-making authority and grants subordinates significant freedom of action, it also demands more of subordinates at all levels. A leader can't delegate authority to incompetent people. Whether in the military or in business, without competence as the bedrocks, you can forget about Mission Command. If you think the people you work with aren't competent, here's what I'd tell you to do. Make sure you are competent at your job first. Can you do your job and your boss's job? If not, focus on learning that. Then focus on helping those around you become more competent, train the people below you, and help your boss as much as possible. Next is mutual trust. Mutual trust isn't something that shows up when you need it. It's something that you as a leader have to build every day with everyone you work with. How can you empower your subordinates if you don't trust them to act competently and you aren't willing to assume some risk by giving up some control? And why would a subordinate demonstrate initiative and take prudent risks if they don't trust that their boss or commander is going to have their back if something goes wrong? You've got to give trust to get it. And this means allowing subordinates some room for failure and growth. The third principle is shared understanding. Of all the principles, this one might be the most difficult. Everyone in an organization needs to be on the same sheet of music. A key component of this is clear, open, and honest communication. Let's say the leader of an organization gets some crucial information about a change in the situation and issues directives, but doesn't explain why she's issuing new directives. People at lower echelons who don't have the same information will start to grumble and lose trust in the leader. Likewise, if people at lower echelons see changes to a situation but don't communicate those changes, leaders at higher echelons won't be able to allocate resources most effectively or make good strategic decisions. Everyone in the organization needs to communicate openly, even if it leads to disagreements. The fourth principle is commander's intent. The commander's intent is a clear and concise expression of the purpose of the operation and the desired end state. It provides focus to the organization and helps all leaders act to achieve the desired results without further orders, even when the operation does not unfold as planned. In other words, the leader needs to clearly explain what she wants to achieve, and then step back and allow her subordinates to achieve it. The fifth principle is mission orders. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one. Simply put, when a leader issues a directive, it needs to be issued in a standard format that everybody can understand. It needs to clearly state what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and who needs to do it. The Army has a standard orders format for this. The manual says specifically that mission orders should only tell subordinate leaders what they need to do, not how to do it. The sixth principle of mission command is disciplined initiative. Disciplined initiative refers to the duty individual subordinates have to exercise initiative within the constraints of the commander's intent to achieve the desired end state. Simply put, disciplined initiative is when subordinates have the discipline to follow their orders and adhere to the plan until they realize that their orders and the plan are no longer suitable for the situation in which they find themselves. This may occur because the enemy does something unforeseen, or there is new or more serious threat, or a golden opportunity emerges that offers a greater chance of success than the original course of action. The subordinate leader then takes action on their own initiative to adjust to the new situation and achieve their commander's intent. Leaders and subordinates who exercise disciplined initiative create opportunity by taking action to develop a situation without asking for further guidance. Commanders rely on subordinates to act to meet their intent, not simply adhere to a plan that is no longer working. A subordinate's initiative may be the starting point for seizing, retaining, and exploiting the operational initiative by forcing an enemy to respond to friendly action. The final principle of mission command is risk acceptance. From a leadership perspective, delegating authority to subordinates comes with risks because you have to give up some control. You are taking a risk that subordinates might fail, and you have to be willing to deal with the consequences of that failure. From an operations perspective, sometimes doing nothing can seem like the safe choice, but doing nothing often carries hidden risks. Leaders at all levels must learn how to evaluate risks and rewards, and not be afraid to take risks to accomplish goals. To summarize the manual as succinctly as possible, I'd say this. The world is and has always been a complex and uncertain place. Leaders who try to plan everything out perfectly and issue very specific orders that must be followed exactly are doomed for failure. Mission command is about accepting chaos and building a competent team upon the foundations of mutual trust and shared understanding by giving clear commander's intent and issuing mission orders that allow subordinates to coordinate with each other and act with disciplined initiative. To do this, leaders at all levels must learn how to manage and accept risk. Doing this will make your organization very adaptable to changing circumstances and will give you a survival advantage over organizations that don't. If you had to sum up the manual in one quote, it would be this one from George Patton. Never tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. If you like this video, you'll probably like my email newsletter. Although this video is pretty much straight from the Army's manual, I write a lot about uncertainty, complexity, history, leadership, strategy, and a bunch of other stuff. The newsletters are usually just a few paragraphs, but I have some pretty controversial opinions and nuanced ways of looking at topics like these. So if you're interested, click the link in the description. Thanks for watching.